Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated Legacy action. For today's midweek meta deck, we are playing Sprouts' Legacy Challenge winning lands deck. So Sprouts has been innovating in the land space and is one of the few people having some success with it, so I thought it was about time to showcase this, and it won a challenge, so let's get into it. So we have a lot of things you would expect here. So, we've got Exploration, we're trying to play out a bunch of additional lands, we've got Life from Loam, so we can sort of do that whole jazz. We've also got Crop Rotation, so we can find what we're looking for. But there's a lot of interesting stuff in here because we're only running 3 Loams. We have ourselves 4 Malevolent Rumble, which can hopefully find a Loam, as well as just finding us the pieces that we need. So we are going a lot more heavily into trying to combo. So we have 4 Depths and 4 Stage. So we're trying to be faster with things like Once Upon a Time in our opening hand, Malevolent Rumble early doors. We're just trying to select for these pieces, but sometimes we'll be selecting for Urza Saga and winning that way. Got a little Urza Saga package of Lavaspur Boots, Grafdigger's Cage, Expedition Map, Pithing Needle, and obviously the Mox Diamond that is just a core part of how our deck functions. We've got some Disruptor Flutes, a little catch-all, and then a bunch of singletons we're going to be looking for in different ways. So Bojuka Bog, and Echoing Deeps, which can become a Bojuka Bog. We've got Tabernacle, Karakas, Maze of Ith, Otawara, Sejiri Steppe, just the normal things you would expect here. We also have 4 Yavimaya, so we're going really heavy into trying to combo as early as possible. So this is more like a depth deck than a lands deck in a lot of ways. And of course, we have Wasteland. Sideboard-wise, what do we have? We've got some removal in Dismembers, some Graveyard Hate in Faerie Macabres, some more Disruptor Flutes, another Pithing Needle, Ghost Quarter, a bunch of Force of Vigors, an Endurance, and a couple of Twin Shot Sniper. This is something that can kill Maze of the Moon quite easily, because all of our lands will tap the red at that point, and we can just dome it. So yeah, that is the plan today. I'm excited to try this one out. I know Sprouts has been popping up with the occasional challenge top 8s for quite a while now, playing versions of this deck, so I'm glad we finally get to give it a whirl. Please remember to like and subscribe, and let's get depthing. The lovely people over at 3for1 Trading are doing a spring sale from May 7th to May 12th. Get 5% off of all orders over $500 with free worldwide shipping by using the code SPRINGSALE25. Their support helps make this channel viable for me, so support them by clicking the link in the description of this video to browse their enormous inventory and find whatever you need for your Magic collection. Okay, I'd rather not have double Once Upon a Time on my opener, but I think this is still reasonable enough. We get to dig 10 cards with this hand. That's quite a lot. I will keep this. Opponent's mulligan to 5. We're just going to get windmilled in the heart by a combo deck. Could happen. So if we can work out what combo deck they are, we might be able to leverage this Disruptor Flute early doors to ruin their day. If they cast like a personal tutor for a Doomsday, then our turn 1 plan will change slightly. Right, Misty Rainforest and Crack from our opponent. An Underground Sea. A Dark Ritual. Are we dead? It is a Doomsday. Okay. So, Disruptor Flute on Thassa's Oracle, you say? Alright, let's have a look at their build. We've got 1 rings in here, no white mana, so no Teferi or anything like that. No main deck pivots. Just turbo personal tutor Doomsday with 1 ring. Okay, start off with this Once Upon a Time. That's the obvious one. Needs to be the first spell we cast. A second Wasteland. Could be useful. So I think the play here is we play out a Wasteland. They won't know which Wasteland this is. We play out a Mox Diamond. I will bin off this Dark Depths. So we have 2 choices here. We can Wasteland our opponent, or we can try this Disruptor Flute. We need to Disruptor Flute here. Okay, they have a Force of Will. Do they have a pile that just rips through here? Because they might well have that. A Brainstorm. So this is going to give them presumably the ability to kill us this turn. Okay. So Wasteland this. Play this out. So we could Wasteland this, force them to shuffle the 3 cards in their deck. That might buy us a turn. Although, if they draw the Oracle, they can't cast it. If they draw the land... So they have to have a land and an Oracle in there. So it's probably land, Oracle. So if we don't do anything here, they can draw a land and play an Oracle. And then they crack this. And there's 1 card up in their library in the Oracle. I think we have to Wasteland this. Force the shuffle, mix up their pile. Any land becomes another Wasteland and we get to Wasteland them again anyway. Right, so they have a basic, but they've shuffled their pile. So presumably they have a Cavern because they made this pile before knowing what we were doing. So they have Cavern plus Oracle. How do we beat this? Let's have a look. Is there anything here that matters? Doesn't look like there's a great selection of lands. Our Ghost Quarter being in the sideboard here rather than the main deck is probably going to cost us this game. How do we get through this? I can't see any way of doing this. This only targets non-basic lands. Alright, so I guess we fire off a Once Upon a Time and hope to find something that I couldn't envision that we had in our deck. None of these work. We are dead, I think. Yeah, our opponent's just going to Cavern and Oracle. Okay, so I would like to have access to Disruptor Flute and this Ghost Quarter. Now, they don't know that we have a Ghost Quarter in the sideboard, so that's something. So, do I need to respect any creatures out of our opponent? Probably not. I think the Doomsday Plan is by far the best option against us. So, we'll take out this Bojuka Bog because we're not really going to need to mess with their graveyard a great deal. Wasteland's obviously very good here. We want our Yavimayas. The bounce sometimes comes in. We can hedge with like one Karakas because it can bounce a Shouldered if that's what they're working with. And then we can also have the Maze if they've got like a big guy. So I don't mind having a couple of these things. They still pitch to Mox Diamond. They still tap for mana underneath the Yavimaya. And they still sack to crop rotation. So I think that's fine. Pithing Needle, not the most exciting here. Like we can name one of the cyclers. And that's about the best we're doing. And then one more cut. I guess Sejiri Steppe is probably not a big deal here, is it? Alright, we'll try it like this. We could board in the Twin Shot Snipers just in case our opponent gets low, then we can just chonk them for a couple of damage. I don't think that's where I want to go. Because the red mana on them is very difficult. These are only a thing that we're realistically casting underneath a Blood Moon. But we can obviously cast them from our Mox Diamond, but that's about it. Like, it's as good as it's going to get for us, really. Like, we could try and mulligan just to Disruptor Flute. I don't think that's a winning strategy. Okay. I guess we take the Thespian stage and chuck that into the Mox Diamond. Or we could take the... we take the Thespian stage, chuck it into the Mox Diamond. I think that is the best option here. Let's play a Mox Diamond. And then we're just going to play Urza Saga and try and get our opponent dead quickly. It's a race. So our opponent's life total is obviously a key part of what their deck does because they halve their life total when they go off. So if we can pressure them and put enough stuff they can't do past a turn pile, it can sometimes make it so they can't win anymore. I will take this Disruptor Flute into my hand, please. So we have a choice about making a construct or making a Disruptor Flute. I think we're supposed to make the construct. But we'll see what our opponent does here. So we can make a construct and wasteland our opponent if we draw another land. Although if we wasteland our opponent, it gets a little bit sketchy for us. Lotus Petal. So they went on turn 1 with Forcible backup last time. If they go on turn 1 with Forcible backup again, like, what are we supposed to do about that? Alright, we're getting duress. So we're going to lose the Disruptor Flute, which means we don't have to make the decision. We can just ram constructs down our opponent's throat. Which, in some ways, is better. We can't really misplay by playing the Disruptor Flute, and we should have made a construct. Although it's not really a misplay at that point. It's just working on the information we have. It would line up poorly or well. But now we don't have to make that decision. We can just start slamming with our robot friends. The Life of the Loam is interesting, but it's not really what this game is about right now. This game is about smashing our opponent in the face with some robots. But in Catacombs, this has to get a non-basic if they want blue mana off of it, which is quite nice for us. So we'll use a Wasteland for the Urza Saga activation this time, then next time we'll use a Spawn so we can actually Wasteland one of our opponent's lands. Although we could try and crop rotate this Urza Saga into something else with the trigger on the stack, because we still get the tutor effect. Let's see what we draw, and then we can make a decision based on that. A Grafdigger's Cage. We could have boarded this out, really. What are we doing here? We're making a construct, and then we're going to crop rotate this away with the trigger on the stack, so we're still going to get our tutor effect. If they counterspell this, it's just a 1-for-1. So I could get another Urza Saga and just keep the pressure going. Or I could get like a Wasteland and try and pressure our opponent that way. I could get the Ghost Quarter. I think I'm just going to go for pressure here. I was worried they were going to dress down for a second then. Let's Get some Lavaspur Boots. It's the most damage we can apply right now. We can crack in. So the Grafdigger's Cage is still +2 damage just by being an artifact. So I think it's better to keep than the things we've boarded out, but it's just not really going to impact anything. We have lethal on board. Our opponent can't do a pass the turn line. They have to win on their next turn. It's entirely possible. They've got a reasonable amount of mana here. They've got a lot of cards in hand, so they might be able to... As long as they can cantrip into their pile, they'd probably win. Alright, having to use a Brainstorm to find a Doomsday, presumably, is not the situation our opponent wants to be in. This is why I think the pressure line makes a lot of sense, because Doomsday doesn't always go off on turn 1 or 2. And if it does, we're probably not going to beat that anyway, so this line makes a lot of sense to me. Now, it ended up where they would have the defensive hand with like the duress and stuff, and that was perfect for what we were doing. If they don't duress away the Disruptor Flute, we do end up with a bit of a tricky decision, potentially. Instead of doing that crop rotation turn, we could have just put in a Disruptor Flute. So they need to cast Doomsday. They might have something like a Shouldered. That would play here. Obviously, we know that we can deal with it. Alright, so we're sacrificing the Age of Autumn, floating the mana, looking for a Doomsday that they can cast. Alright, pressure worked. So, do I want this Digger's Cage that much? I think we should have the Endurance in, just so we can shuffle their graveyard in. There is an argument to sometimes having Force of Vigors, because if they do like a Doomsday, you can make them lose the LED if they've got it in play, but I just don't think that's a great way of playing this game. I think we're just better off having this one Endurance over the Grafdigger's Cage. That was just a miss on my part. So what does this hand do? We can't play our Exploration to power out an early Urza Saga. We can try Disruptor Flute and hope that does enough, and then try and win them with the Dark Depths combo. That's not that impressive. So we won't be doing anything until turn 2, then we get swept up by daisies and all sorts. We need something a little bit more powerful here. So what does this hand do? We have access to a Wasteland. We have a Loam we can't cast. We do have Disruptor Flutes. Is Wasteland plus Disruptor Flute enough to keep a hand? Like obviously we can still do like Saga stuff. Doesn't feel great, does it? I think we'll keep it though. I think if they're going to have a hand that just wombo combos us like turn 1 or turn 2, that's going to beat us every time anyway, due to the nature of how our deck's constructed. So we may as well just cross our fingers and see what happens. A Ponder, okay, so we're not getting done on turn 1. They fetched around Wasteland. Do we want to get an Urza Saga going? What is it tutoring for us? Mox Diamond or Expedition Map? And the main things it's tutoring. That doesn't seem that exciting. If we play a Wasteland first, we can play the Saga and the Disruptor Flute on turn 2. We're going to see like Swamp, Cabal Ritual, Doomsday this turn, or are they still going to be searching? They're still searching. And then I'm going to see Sewers. So I didn't shuffle this Ponder, so they're ditching one of the cards from the Ponder, an Age of Autumn. A very tempting Wasteland target on the board right now. So part of the Saga. When are we going to fire off this Disruptor Flute? That is quite an important question. We can do it on our opponent's upkeep, so that if they fight over it, it can mess them up a little bit. Or we can do it now when they're tapped out and they would have to use a free spell. Right, I think this is as good a time as any. We don't know if they're running Spell Pierces. Well, we didn't see them before, I suppose. Can we make your Doomsday cost 3 more? No. Force of Negation is something we could have played around by doing it in our opponent's turn. That is unfortunate to see. A Duress. So they're going to take our Life from the Loam and put it where we want it. Thank you, opponent. But this also lets them know that the coast is relatively clear. Dark Ritual, here we go. So they know that we've got 2 Wastelands. They have a good idea about what they're playing around. Okay, no, it's a One Ring. Okay. We've got Disruptor Flutes for that. So what this means is when they do their pile, they can just draw straight into it and probably win the turn they cast it. So we're going to need to get a little aggressive here. I don't believe we are dredging that just yet. Well, I'll play the Boseiju. I don't think we're going to win this game by wastanding our opponent. I think we're going to make some guys and turn them sideways. Right, if they're tapping the One Ring before casting a spell, that probably means we're not dead this turn, which is good news. We get to bash our opponent for quite a lot here. And then follow up with a Wasteland to try and sow their role. Although, clearly mana is not going to be the problem when they got the One Ring drawing them additional lands every turn. A Personal Tutor. Interesting. So this is going to put the Doomsday on top. So we have a Boseiju. They can choose not to search though. Disruptor Flute would be handy. We will not dredge. An Endurance. Interesting. Don't get the pressure down now. How are we going to win? But if we do get the pressure down now, our opponent's got a free roll to just Doomsday and then draw the cards with the One Ring. So I don't think we can make the token here. We need to get ourselves a Mox Diamond rather than a Lavaspur Boots. And we'll pitch this Dark Depths. And then I guess we play Saga so we can start cranking some stuff out. So we have Endurance around a daze. And once our Endurance resolves, we can then Wasteland and put another land in their deck. So that they've got more stuff to shuffle in. Problem is, this buys us one turn where the One Ring just goes again. Because they can just draw their whole pile. But they will be taking a bit of damage from doing it. So if they go half, they'll be on 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're pretty close. This is a Doomsday. Not a surprise. We saw it come in last turn. They got 3 cards in hand. Got some One Ring as well. They can probably draw Disruption or Protection. It's going to be a tricky one for us to overcome. But we knew this going in. Doomsday is not ever going to be a great matchup for land style decks. We don't have any hand disruption. We don't have any counter magic. We don't have... Like the best thing we have is the Disruptor Flute. It sort of does a Meddling Mage impression. We will have a decision to make soon. Do we play the Endurance in response to the One Ring being tapped, or do we play in response to a Thassa's Oracle? Because if they have the One Ring digging them up some protection, then the Endurance is unlikely to do very much. That buys us a turn, and the Endurance gets to beat down and be the last point of damage we need here. So I think we are doing it in response to the One Ring, because our opponent's going to calculate it. Although I suppose all we're going to shuffle back in... So we're only going to put 1 card on the bottom of the library if we do that though, which might not be enough. Wait, no, the Doomsday gets exiled as well, right? We won't put anything on the bottom. Yes, we have to wait until they've played some more spells. So our opponent should be able to win this one. But that's the case with Doomsday all the time. Doomsday can basically always beat something, but it needs to know what it's beating. No real differences sideboarding wise. The turn we played the Disruptor Flute, we could have played it in our opponent's turn. Might have ended up a lot better for us. So I do have the Doomsday in the graveyard, sorry. So I have 1 card here. So we could put 1 card on the bottom of their library. I don't think that's good enough. A Lion's Eye Diamond. If they're going for a Lion's Eye Diamond line, then we can definitely blow them out because they won't have any disruption. So they'd probably go Consider and then crack the LED. This might let us in. I wonder if there was a way they could have done this without doing an LED line. So they're cycling 2 Street Wraiths. So they're going to draw a card, which is going to be what? So they have they're going to have an Oracle. They could have a Daze. You can have double Oracles, so they get through it that way. We can pay for a Daze. So I think we let them put the Oracle on the stack. Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. 1 card in their hand. Okay, so they activate this. If they have... yeah, okay, so we cast our Endurance now, I think. Because if they have like an Edge of Autumn in hand, if we try and do it in response to the Jace ability, then they get us with the Cycler in their hand, so we have to do this now. And this is a pile that they can't just cycle all the way through. And this gives us lethal damage. Obviously, the One Ring's going to kill them next turn anyway. But they might be in a situation where they can draw enough cards from the One Ring to win the game in response to its trigger because of the Jace. Does this have anything that we care about? No. I'm going to mill 2 and draw a card. So there is a Doomsday somewhere. So it has to be the bottom card. And they can't cycle another Street Wraith. I don't think they can win this game. Alright, our opponent said good draw. It was a good draw. It was also a singleton. Okay, we managed to get there. A little bit sketchy. I think our opponent might have been able to do a different pile, but obviously they didn't know we had endurance. From our side, it's like, oh yeah, we've got this endurance. You know, they should be playing around it, but they don't know that they need to play around this. Okay, let's go to round number 2. Okay, what does our opener do? Possibly turn 3 Marit. We've got a little bit of Wasteland and a Maze of Ith to interact with. I think this is reasonable. I prefer to have some sort of exploration over the Sejiri Steppe. But I think turn 1, Cradle, turn 2, Malevolent Rumble was pretty interesting. Now, we may have to play around Wastelands. So we're going to have to decide what we're doing about that one. Polluted Delta. A Swamp. A Dark Ritual. Are we getting Doomsday again? Thoughtseize. We're going to lose our Malevolent Rumble. That kind of changes what we're up to. Oh, they just target themselves. They are just reanimating their Atraxa right now. We're not completely stone cold dead to that. So they've got a Shadow Grave in hand that I've accidentally clicked off. So what do they go for? Bloodstained Mire, Animate Dead, Unmask, Shallow Grave, Archon of Cruelty. So Unmask, pitch in the Archon of Cruelty. Like, we're not dead to what's happening. I guess we just allow this and then see if we can do the lands thing. So we've got Maze of Ith, so we're not going to be dying to this. They can't reanimate anything else with their current hand. So we're just going to sit here and look at each other for a bit. This is the only target creature you control, so I can't just make this fall off. Not that we'd want to do that, because then our opponent gets to replay anyway. Alright, Maze of Ith. So our plan is Maze of Ith this for like 4 turns, and then make a Marit token. It's a good strategy. Alright, Raucous Theatre is their draw. They're going to keep us honest and make us click through it. That's fair enough. Malevolent Rumble. Do I want to do this? Do I just want to Wasteland? I don't think Wasteland on my opponent makes that much of a difference. I think we just need to get to a place where we can win the game, really. So let's just try to do that. Bloodstained Mire. Let's say no to the Atraxa. Let's play our Dark Depths. So next turn we have a 20/20, and we can also just swing for lethal in 1 hit, because our opponent won't be able to block if we Sejiri Steppe our creature. Lotus Petal, that's not really what our opponent wants right now. Yes, the difference between a turn 1 Atraxa in a deck like this versus a turn 1 Atraxa... Well, I guess you don't do turn 1 Atraxa in the blue-black reanimated deck. But they find a bunch of counter magic and disruption. Alright. We have a 20/20 that's going to be a slap on our opponent's face next turn. It's not often you get to beat the turn 1 Atraxa. Let's hope today is one of those days. A Thoughtseize. Sure. They're getting rid of their Valvagoth. Interesting. So, how much do I care about them having a Valvagoth? What does this do? If a card you didn't control put into a line, this doesn't matter, right? Because we just swing through it. Pro Black gets us through both of them. What are they getting this back with? An Animate Dead. So it's not going to be hasty. During your turn, you may play cards exile with Valvagoth. So we're not going to cast any spells. Okay, sure. You can have your enormous monster. They haven't seen our hand, I don't think, so they don't know that we're about to win the game. Alright. Did they see us at Sejiri Steppe? I can't remember now. I don't think they looked... Oh no, they unmasked us, didn't they, and took the Rumble. So they knew we had the Sejiri Steppe, yeah. Okay. So, I would like some Graveyard Hate, please. These decks sometimes play Magus of the Moon, so I am going to play a couple of Twin Shot Snipers to deal with that. I'll take the Endurance as well. Do I want these Dismembers for the Blood Moons as well? Not sure if I do. Like, maybe we're supposed to do that. It certainly feels like a reasonable thing. I don't know if we need the Pithing Needle here. We can name Grizzlebrand. I guess that's okay. Disruptor Flute is probably a touch slow. Wastelands are useful. Let's move a bunch of this stuff over here so I can see what I'm working with. So, obviously we want the Bojuka Bog. The Sejiri Steppe allows us to punch through on that key turn. Maze of Ith, as you see, can just keep us alive a lot longer than we should be. Bouncing their creatures is good. Tabernacle, not great here. They tend to just have like one big thing. They're going tall, not wide. Crop rotation is essential. Grafdigger's Cage, very good. Do we need Lavaspur Boots here? Maybe we don't need the boots. Just trying to fit all these things in. So we could do this and not play around their Maze of the Moon. A little bit scared of not playing around Maze of the Moon. Would I rather have Dismember to play around Makes of the Moon than Twin Shot Sniper? Because we don't care about this being counterable because our opponent's not going to be countering our stuff. Is the life going to matter? I would like some Dismembers. I've decided. Where I'm fitting them in is a different question. Do we have time to be doing Life from the Loam stuff? Probably don't have time to be cracking expedition maps. Trim a Loam and a map. I think the Dismember just works better against the Magus most of the time. And maybe flexes into killing something else. We have Graveyard Hate. We have a plan with the Loam. I will keep this. Marsh Flats. They're going on turn 1. So they're probably going to be a little bit more defensive and try and aim more hand disruption towards us. Instead of just relying on doing busted turn 1 stuff. Cabal Therapy targeting us. They're going to name Crop Rotation, I believe. They named Faerie Macabre. Okay, swing and a miss. Would love to find just any land. We did not find just any land. That is awkward. I guess we're just playing out this Wasteland. So the other option we had there was to just play out the Mox Diamond and play the Exploration. I don't know if our opponent's running Serenity or anything like that. Just thought it'd be a little cager. We should hit lands. Our deck is full of lands. Okay, deck. We'll bin off this Life from the Loam so we can dredge it when the time comes. Which isn't now because we need to have a land in hand to start the chain off. Unmask, targeting us. Are we just going to lose because we couldn't draw a land in our lands deck? 31 lands in our deck here. So presumably they take the Endurance. Because they just got a free roll right now. Goodbye Endurance. I could reanimate our Endurance just to get rid of our Life from the Loam. I don't think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to make a giant monster and we're going to die to it. Stronghold Gambit. Each player chooses a creature. Each player chooses a card in their hand. The owner of the creature card with the lowest mana value. So they're getting a Traxxas here. That's obviously bad news for us. What do we find here? Selection of things. Stronghold Gambit, pretty good against our deck with no creatures in. Dark Ritual, Animate Dead, Verdant Catacombs, Unmask, Chrome Mox. We could unmask us and take like the Mox Diamond to try and keep us off of green mana. I think I would be interested in doing that in our opponent's shoes. Green mana unlocks things like Karakas for us. And they could just take the Crop Rotation as well. That does work too. But taking off our green mana could be huge. So maybe we're supposed to play this instead of the Wasteland. Right, Chrome Mox is coming in. What are we imprinting? Animate Dead maybe? The Dark Ritual. Oh, they're just reanimating our little friend here. Sure, this is going to shuffle away our Loam. That's fine, I don't really care about that right now. 2 mana efficient, I'm going to kill this now. Oh, they're just Cabal Therapying us. Yeah, that's pretty good too. They're going to take our Mox Diamond, is what I would take. They might take the Crop Rotation though. I think either of these options is fine. But I don't think they want to take anything else here. Alright, I went for the Crop Rotation. An Urza Saga, you say? Okay. Mox Diamond. We have green mana now. That's quite exciting. Let's go ready to rumble. Bojuka Bog, not very exciting. Dark Depths, kind of exciting. But also not a land. In terms of producing mana. But that is a way that we can win this game. So we can play our land here. So we can top deck a Thespian Stage and win the game. We can top deck a... we don't have enough mana to top deck the Crop Rotation, do we? Because we could Crop Rotate this and we'd be 1 mana shy. Alright, opponent. You get to bash me for 7. This will put them above 1 shot from the Merit Lage token. I don't think we're expending our Eldrazi Spawn token to reduce their life total so that we can 1-shot them. That is something to consider, but I think we don't know how much of this game is going to be going on. They've discarded a Grizzlebrand. They're going to reanimate Grizzlebrand. I don't think we're beating the Grizzlebrand. Yeah, I think we can just say no to that. Go to game 3. Grizzlebrand is a very different object at that stage of the game. Didn't see the Magus of the Moon. That doesn't mean they don't have it though. Stronghold Gambit was their main sort of sideways plan there. So maybe we want a Pithing Needle in for the Grizzlebrand. Another one. Although the Graveyard H should be doing that. Yeah, we just cover ourselves from the Magus and just go in again. We're very unfortunate not to hit any lands. It didn't even matter what land. Just any land would have been fine. What does this hand do? This can make... we're just going to die to whatever they do, aren't they? We need to mulligan something that can interact with our opponent. Alright, this can interact with our opponent. So... I think we put away the Pithing Needle and just hope the Faerie Macabre can deal with the Grizzlebrand. So this is exploration into Urza Saga, so we can get digging towards Grafdigger's cage as soon as possible. Hopefully the Faerie Macabre slows them down enough that we can get the cage into play. It won't stop the Stronghold Gambit though. But that's a problem for later, I guess. We could also just draw Thespian Stage and have a 20/20 next turn. We're going to clean up and discarding Stronghold Gambit. Interesting. Didn't really want to draw this one. I guess we just play out a couple of lands. And then we're going to start constructing our constructs. These lands tap for mana due to the Yavimaya. We don't have an expedition map to just try and win the game with. What's in our opponent's hand here? I get a clean up. There's a Grizzlebrand. So we get the Grafdigger's cage here. And I will deploy this Bojuka Bog. Just do double duty here. We're not going to play this Yavimaya. It can be pitched to a Bojuka Bog or be used as a Lotus Petal on a later turn. I feel okay-ish. They pitched a Stronghold Gambit, which suggests to me they've got another one. But they're going to need like a Lotus Petal to fire that off now. Unmasked, targeting us. That's a little worrying. We can get Stronghold Gambited. We won't have a creature to put in. Alright, we just managed to win the match. Okay, we got there. Interesting set of games, I thought. There was definitely a little bit of luck on our side in game one where our opponent's thing didn't find them anything else to put another big monster in and we could just sit there for a while. Alright, let's go to round 3. We're 2-0. This hand is asking an awful lot from our Once Upon a Time. I think we need something a bit better than this. Okay, we have Malevolent Rumbles, we have Urza Saga. This is a significantly better hand and we can chuck back the Sejiri Steppe as well. Which is where we want it. We don't really want that card anywhere other than in our deck. Sometimes being in hand does win you games, but generally speaking you want to be able to tutor for it for the most part. A Thoughtseize. I guess we're going to lose the unique card in the exploration here. So what flavour of blue-black deck is our opponent? It could be Doomsday, there could be Reanimator, there could be Tempo, there could even be some sort of control deck. We just don't know. Do I want to just sack my opponent's land here? I think I'm going to play out this Wasteland. I don't know if I'm going to use it though. If we start doing our Malevolent Rumbles, they do look very good. Alright, we should be drawing more lands, so let's just reset this game with no lands in play. I think that should favour us because our deck has so many lands that we're going to be drawing some more. And maybe we just cheese our opponent out and they don't get to play the game. Alright, they had a land. No cheesing. I don't want to expose my only green source, so I'm going to play out this Saga. Let's get the expedition map going. Next turn we can rumble. Wasteland, we're going to lose our Saga here. Sure, no rumble for next turn. This is the downside of doing that. But, again, we should be drawing more lands, so we should be fine putting this together. I just don't want to have to expose this Yavimaya out if it's our only green source. So the Wastelands tell me... Well, they didn't really tell me that our opponent's not Reanimator is the problem. A Reanimator deck, a blue-black Reanimator deck did win a challenge as well. A little bit late for you. We do have to play out this Yavimaya, so if we draw another land, we can actually cast a spell. That's not a Wasteland. That's good news for us. Okay, so they are a Reanimator deck, and we're probably going to lose. Archon of Cruelty. Not the scariest creature imaginable. We'll get rid of this Once Upon a Time. I think that's the weakest card in our hand. So I guess the reason they've got this is so that we can't just keep Maze of Ithing it. Okay, I guess we'll play out this Pithing Needle. I begrudgingly will probably name Wasteland here. Alright, we're getting dazed. Sure. I've been saying for a while that I still think that this is a tier 1 deck. And it certainly feels like some other people have caught on to that fact now. To be fair, I think I'm 1-5 or 1-6 against it since the bannings. I still believe they hit the wrong thing here. I would like to play a blue-black like tempo deck that has Troll of Khazad-dûm as its only like, or Troll of Khazad-dûm, Street Wraith or whatever, that sort of reanimation package without having the giant monsters, and then have a deck that has giant monsters. That's kind of what I would like to see. All right, Malevolent Rumble. You got to be good. Nope. We're just dead to the Archon of Cruelty, unless they forget to pay the Tabernacle, which isn't going to happen. Okay, Blue-Black Reanimator. Faerie Macabres and Endurance. Out you come. I don't think we need anything else here. Sejiri Steppe has its uses. Karakas, Maze of Ith all have uses here. Crop Rotation is a little bit sketchy, but I think we need it because if our opponent's reanimating something big, we have to be able to say no. The Once Upon a Time can find a Faerie Macabre, so we're definitely keeping that little plan in. I think it's the Disruptor Flutes. They're a little bit too specific, whereas our opponent has multiple options of things they can cast that are like bad news for us. I think we can take out the Needle. And Tabernacle isn't that interesting against our opponent. Like I said, they tend to go tall rather than wide, so I think we take out the Tabernacle here. There are situations where Tabernacle, like we have to board in the Ghost Quarter if we want to keep the Tabernacle. That's the only way we can get through all of our opponent's things. I just don't think this is a Tabernacle matchup. Like, it's alright against their fairer plan, but I think we're pretty good against their fairer plan anyway. This build is not that heavily reliant on the graveyard. So we can bounce and attract outplay, but that's probably going to be too late to really matter. We don't have any engines. We have to mulligan this. I heard you like engines. This is the deck for us, the hand for us. The problem is we don't have green mana, which is a recurring problem I'm noticing with this deck. Like, we have to keep the thing. How many green sources do we have? Let's have a look. We've got 2 Boseiju, 2 Forests, 4 Yavimaya, so that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, including the Mox Diamonds. So 12 sources we keep. It doesn't feel great. But like a single green source, and then we can start cooking with these, with this Wasteland lock. We could also just draw into a Thespian stage. That's fine too. Right, let's just get the cage down. They have to have a hard counter like a Force. A Daze will not get the job done here. Okay. We could just play the Wasteland our opponent into the dirt game. I suspect they're going to go get a basic here though. Basic Island, that means they're not reanimating on turn 2 because you need black to do that. Unless they're running something like the... I can't remember the name of it. The 1 mana Surveil 3 with flashback. Otherworldly Gaze, I think it's called. That's not a green source. Alright, let's play another Wasteland. So our opponent's just going to fetch basics. Tamiyo, yep, this is kind of an annoying thing for us to deal with. We could draw a Karakas, but no. Right, I'll play out this Dark Depths. If we draw a Thespian stage, we just make a 20-20 and win. But I think we have to keep this hand respecting what our opponent can do. 12 hits means that by 5 cards, we should get there. Okay, the Wasteland. Goodbye, Dark Depths. That is upsetting. They're going to attack first and they're going to brainstorm because they're about to brainstorm and then realise they should get their clue first. I don't know if we beat the Tamiyo ultimate. Yep, here's the brainstorm. Now we could have kept a different hand, but our hand made it so we didn't just die to our opponent and 2-me on turn 2. And generally speaking, we're pretty good against grinding the fair stuff in people's decks. But it's just not what's happening right now. Oh, okay. We have a life from the Loam here. Are they going to crack this land anyway? Probably. I guess we're just going to go and get back our 1 land here. If our opponent minuses the Tamiyo. Oh, a Force of Negation specifically. Okay, we do have another life from the Loam, so it's not the end of the world. Certainly a bit on the irritating side. If they minus the Tamiyo, we can exile a target with a Faerie Macabre. That's probably worth our time. Right, they're just going to go upstairs instead because they know that we can't really deal with a ultimate Tamiyo. A Barrow Goyf. Sure, that's the sort of thing that we are fine against. But the problem with this deck is that they have a reanimated stuff you have to respect or you lose to it. But then also, they can just play this fair tempo game. And then you end up with the cards that don't look very good, like the Grafdigger's Cage and the Faerie Macabre. So they kind of get us coming and going in a lot of ways. I could play into Daze here. I think that's okay. Because it still ends up in our graveyard, even if this gets counterspelled. I guess we play out the Dark Depths, because if we draw a... If we have to draw a card for turn, it can be a Thespian stage, and maybe we can have a 20-20 and win the game that way. But how are we going to beat this Tamiyo? They probably have Brazen Borrower to bounce our guy anyway. Got one more turn. There's no Blast Zones in our deck. So we're going to get cracked for 3 here. They're probably going to get a free card off of it. I think they should have attacked with the Barragoyf before. Okay, so they're using the Barragoyf to mill over a creature they're about to reanimate. That's pretty sick. Okay, it's just another Barragoyf. So they're kind of just using it to shuffle the Brainstorm, effectively. But they might reanimate this Barragoyf. Thoughtseize. Okay, I will take out your Barragoyf. Oh, sorry, they picked up the Barragoyf with the Barragoyf, didn't they? So how many sorceries do they have? They have 1 enchantment and 1 sorcery. So we'll shrink those, and then they can take 1 of our expirations that we can't recast anyway. I guess we have a sorcery actually, so that doesn't really matter. But we can dredge this and shrink them. But if we dredge that, how are we beating this Tamiyo? How do we beat the Tamiyo? We draw Thespian stage, I guess. We did not draw Thespian stage. I don't think we get to beat this Tamiyo ultimate. And we're never going to resolve a spell again. And they're going to have the Brazen Borrower for this. I think we just dead to the Tamiyo. Yep. I have a feeling that the blue-black reanimated deck is actually the best deck in Legacy still. It's just so hard to beat. Alright, let's go to round 4. Okay, this is a turn 2 Marit Lage. This is my speed. We can work with this. White mana, but a Lotus Petal. So we might be looking at some sort of stompy deck trying to use like Clarion Conqueror, whatever it's called. Okay, Mox Diamond. Pitch Thespian stage. There's multiple ways we can do this, to be fair. I think I like the double Mox Diamond way because then we get to play around a Wasteland of our opponents. And play out this Thespian stage. And then this will become a Plains right now. Alright, we're going to be in Esper Town. Torpor Orb. Okay, so this is the new Dreadnought build that people are running with Torpor Orb and Ancient Tomb in it. Looks pretty good. Alright, so now our opponent is in check. They have to hold open ways of dealing with this Marit Lage. Stock up. That does not seem like a great use of our opponent's mana there. Obviously, if they find a Wasteland or a land here, that's fine too. So if we make this, they're just going to plow it. So we don't really want that to happen. I understand why our opponents went for that play. Okay. Let's get a Wasteland out. Let's Wasteland you. A Brainstorm. Sure. So we can... I guess we can't just make 2 attempts because we've binned off both of our Thespian stages. Alright, let's go for this exploration. Deploy a Wasteland. And again, our opponent is in check. They need to have white mana available this turn cycle, otherwise they die. Which means they can't cast spells that require white mana until they find a second white source, unless they're instant speed, things like the Doorkeeper Thrall. Another Dark Depths. Okay. I will play this Echoing Deeps. It will be a copy of Thespian stage. This is the line we have that works here. So we make a 20-20 on our opponent's turn. Next time we play a Dark Depths and go again. A Dress Down. Okay, there's going to be some kind of large creature coming our way. Is it Dreadnought? Is it Null Drifter? I really like Null Drifter, just generally as a card. It's cool. I used to play a lot of Lorwyn back in the day. It's one of my all-time favourite sets. Another Torpor Orb. Okay. 4 cards left in our opponent's hand. We'll let them sack their Dress Down. Let's have a 20-20. Let's gain 20 life, which might help us in the world of 12/12 creatures coming our way. But now we have another Dark Depths and a Maze of Ith here. Alright, these are the things we have, opponents. I think if our opponent's running as a Saga, we don't want to waste a Wasteland on this meticulous archive. And if our opponent doesn't tap this one and leaves up a different... Okay, so we have a Null Drifter now. Sure, I'm not a big fan of being annihilated, I'll be honest with you. Do they have access to another Plow effect? Let's find out. Like, we are out of cards here. This is all we're able to really do in this situation. We haven't got a Loam going. We're gaining some life. Our opponent correctly destroyed it on their turn before. Dress down. Okay. Intriguing. Lavaspur Boots. I don't mind having haste and ward. Just generally speaking. I think ward is nice. So this will take our opponent's Null Drifter out of the way. This will force them more mana to interact with it, which means I think we're supposed to Wasteland one of their lands here. So that their mana is more constricted when they're trying to interact with our Maralege. Okay, so Prismatic Ending, Source to Plowshares, Teferi, these are all useful things. Another Null Drifter. Okay, so they're trying to dig to plows whilst providing chump blockers. Here comes white. Phyrexian Dreadnought. Okay. Phyrexian Dreadnought. Okay. Not ideal for us. Malevolent Rumble. Sure. Can we find our Sejiri Steppe here? This is a pretty good target to counterspell. Here we go. We haven't really given our opponent much to counterspell. We'll go to attacks. They have to block with a Null Drifter. So we kill their Null Drifter. So we have two choices. We can prevent damage with this, or we can make our Maralege untapped so that we can kill one of these after the damage has been dealt. So just add a little stop at the end of combat so that we can do Maze of Ith shenanigans. Now if they remove our Maralege, that's fair enough. Stock up is a pretty good way of finding stuff. I will try and put this Torpor Orb Dreadnought deck on the channel at some point soon. It looks pretty sweet, and I do enjoy playing Dreadnought. I just wish they didn't cost £1 million in paper. Alright, we got the win there. Somehow, I'll take it. Force of Vigor, this seems like a reasonable thing that we can play. Dismember kills one of their guys, but not the other one, so I'm not really a big lover of that. This isn't really a Bojuka Bog matchup. Disruptor Flutes, like we can name some of their scary guys and stop them coming down. Whatever, really. Grafdigger's Cage, that can go. I don't think we want the Pithing Needle. We haven't seen a Teferi. I don't really want to play around it. We could board in the Ghost Quarter to go with the Tabernacle. I just don't know if the Tabernacle's great here. So we can try and use Dismember to hit like the little Doorkeeper Thrall guy. But a lot of these builds aren't even on Doorkeeper Thrall now. They're just on the Torpor Orbs and the Dress Down, sometimes with 2 Stifles. So do I want Disruptor Flutes? Do I want... I don't know. Maybe I'll take a Ghost Quarter. I do like Ghost Quarter my opponents into Oblivion. I think it's something that brings me some joy. And that means our Tabernacle makes a bit more sense as a card in our deck as well. Do I want an answer for a creature in our deck? We can have one Dismember, just in case our opponent's playing something like Harbinger of the Seas. Okay, it's a pretty Wasteland-centric hand. Our opponent has the ability to play around it a bit. Okay, and there's a Saga, a Mox Diamond, and a Torpor Orb. Sure, you've got all the things. So we could play the Exploration right now, or we could just go for our guaranteed Wasteland, which I think is the better play. Because if this gets interfered with, then we have to contend with Urza Saga Constructs, and we can just say, let's just not bother with Urza Saga Constructs. And that seems like a safer place to be. Now that we have the Life from the Loam as well, we've got a lot of inevitability. Okay. Okay. That does not look like a lot of inevitability anymore. I would like to have Blast Zones in my deck. I'm missing the Blast Zone a little bit. A Mox Diamond, you say? Maze of Ith would be quite useful. They don't have a Daze up. Right, Yavimaya. Let's try and play this Exploration. See if this gets countered. No. Okay, so we can play 2 lands. One extra land. Play this Mox Diamond. Get rid of this. Then we can crop rotate. Do you want our opponent to tap? I don't think we're doing the Tabernacle stuff right now. Counterspell here, obviously very, very good. I did not have it. Okay, so it's Maze of Ith, please. We can't get a Boseiju into hand. We could get a Boseiju and then like slow, like Wasteland it, get it back to our hand, but then we'll be dead because 12 is a lot of power. Stock up, pretty good. So yeah, this deck gets to play like turn 1 Torpor Orbs and stuff with the Ancient Tunes whilst also having stock up as like a reload in their deck. It's really sweet. I think it looks like the best build of Dreadnought to me. Alright. Say no to Dreadnoughts in your area. So we have a pretty good turn lined up. I'll play the Wasteland so we can play around with potential days here. Get back 3 lands. Play out the Tabernacle. Wasteland, this Ancient Tomb. Pass the turn. So we've got them in the Wasteland lock here. And they do have to keep paying for their Dreadnought. I don't believe this deck runs Wastelands. I could be wrong on that one. But generally speaking, I haven't seen them running Wastelands. Drawing the Ghost Court would be lovely here. So this is going to go and get them a basic, presumably island. Okay, it's a plains. Okay, so now they're getting a basic island. So they had both their basics available. Okay. Say no to Dreadnought. Treasure Life from Loam. And we're just in a classic lands pattern right now. I'll take Wasteland, Dark Depths, Forest. Play Dark Depths, play Wasteland. And we're going to start paying mana to remove counters from our Dark Depths. The best way to draw a Thespian stage is to get this down to like 2 counters, and then you immediately draw the Thespian stage and realise you wasted many, many turns. A land that we can Wasteland. It's always exciting to see. Another stock up though. It's pretty good. Alright, Dark Depths. You can have a counter off. Okay. Let's go get back our Thespian stage here. Don't mind if I do. I will obviously be wastelanding the thing that we can wasteland. And now we're in make a 20/20 every turn until our opponent dies mode. But they've had a couple of stock ups this game, so they've probably got something good in hand. Can I have a 20/20 please? I've asked politely. We don't have to pay for this because this is indestructible. And this is the destroy trigger. They wanted to make us pay first, I think. Getting plowed. A dress down. Okay, so they're going to surrender their Dreadnought for this. That is their solution. That is fine by me. I'll get back. Dark Depths, Thespian stage, Urza Saga. I will just redeploy the combo. I think that's just the easiest way out of this game right now. If they answer this on their turn with a sorcery speed thing like a Prismatic Ending or a Teferi, then we just make another one. And if they don't, then they die. Having to use an Otawara for mana is pretty good news for us. Stock up looking at 5 cards. Relatively likely to find an answer here. They haven't had a single plow yet this game. Actually, if I copy something now and they remove it, then that doesn't actually go very well for us. Right, I'm not going to pay for this because we don't need to. Straight to one of our Loams. Go to attacks. Or am I about to gain 20 life? Path to Exile. Sure. We should have one more forest in here. I'll take that. Right, so we get out our Urza Saga here. That starts ticking. We wasteland our opponent, obviously. So we need this 3 mana for this. And then this isn't doing its thing yet, so we can Life from Loam back. An Urza Saga, a Wasteland, and a Wasteland. The Urza Saga. Start cranking out multiple constructs as well. Now we do have our own Tabernacle to worry about. But if we ever need to wasteland it, we can do that. And we can set it up so it's only ever up for our opponent's turn because we can wasteland it in our opponent's turn. Rest in pieces. Sure. So we're going to lose all that stuff, but we have a lot on board right now. Can I have a 20/20, please? Alright, we got the GGs in chat. Right, so 4 rounds in, and we are 3-1. The only thing we've lost to is the deck that supposedly got banned. Okay, let's go to the final round and see how we do. A nice 4-1 to finish off the league would be lovely. Yeah. I can play this hand. So I think this is Urza Saga, Mox Diamond, pitch this Sejiri Steppe we don't want, and probably Malevolent Rumble. Means we can't crop rotate something away if we need it. I'll take another Urza Saga, please. I'm not just randomly going to play out a Pithing Needle. Like, we could Pithing Needle Wasteland to make sure our Urza Sagas get the job done. But I might as well see what our opponent's doing. Maybe we need to name something like a Nomads in Core. An Underground Sea. A Thought Seas. So we're going to lose almost certainly the crop rotation here. But we're just going to keep making a bunch of construct lads and getting there. I do like Urza Saga as a card. It's very strong, but it obviously has its limitations. Alright, so play Wasteland this turn. I could Wasteland our opponent and make a construct. But then we only get to make one construct, so I don't think that's the way forward. Let's just hope our opponent's playing a fair deck and we can just churn out constructs. If they reanimate, then we just lose, I think. Well, it depends what they reanimate, I suppose. Because we can obviously use our Karakas to bounce something. It could also be a Storm deck, and that could be a whole different problem. We could just go and get our Grafdigger's Cage if we're fearful that our opponent is doing reanimate stuff. A bad land. So we're probably looking at a fairer Grixis looking deck. Thoughtseize, this is going to take our Pithing Needle. They're not going to want to put the Loam in the graveyard for us. Okay, so I don't think we're looking at a reanimated deck now. Most of the reanimated decks I've seen doing well are just straight blue-black. So let's make a friend. A life from the Loam. So I think we just make a friend here. What do I want? Quite like the Expedition map. I could get the Mox Diamond. I don't think I want the Mox Diamond though. Is it the Lavaspur Boots? Might be the Lavaspur Boots actually. Alright, so let's play out this as a Saga. Let's equip this. Let's bash. I think I want to stop things like Colligan's Command hitting us, so I'm going to take out the Badlands. Like Molten Collapse, Colligan's Command, these are things I don't want our opponent to cast next turn. If they have less mana, dealing with our ward creature is going to be harder. We have lethal on board. This Wasteland doesn't matter. If they Fatal Push this, they save themselves quite a lot of life. This goes down to only being a 4-power creature. Right, they don't want us to have this Saga. We will need to find a land if we want to do anything else this game, but what we have in play is pretty strong. Thespian stage. Let's Loam, get back. Urza Saga, Wasteland, Urza Saga. They could counterspell this, and they do. We bash for 4. We get to make the same play next turn. A Brainstorm. I don't believe they can answer this for 1 mana. Alright, we win the game. Cool. Not bad. What are we going to do with our deck? So, this is either Grixis mid-range. It could be Grixis tempo, but I don't think we saw enough tempo elements to make me think it was. Obviously, we didn't see that much of the game. Because we were just kind of on the front foot the whole time. Do I want... So they're not going to be bringing in anything that's going to mess with our mana. Do they have anything worth Karakasing? I guess it's possible that they have some kind of Shouldred. It's not out of the realms of possibility. I don't think we need the Grafdigger's Cage. So maybe that becomes an... Actually, no, they do have Snapcasters if they're the control build. So maybe that's an okay thing to have. Pithing Needle can name Kaito. That's pretty important. Is deck just fine? I guess the Tabernacle can become Endurance. I kind of want to just play Ghost Quarter though. Our opponent's mana is a little bit sketchy. Otawara is fine here. Echoing Deeps is good. Maybe it's the Karakas that goes and just gives us the Ghost Quarter. Do you want the Ghost Quarter plus Tabernacle lock is the question. Maybe we do. Just as a thing that's in our deck that can eventually make sure that we don't die. Because if they're on a mid-range, they're going to have a few more guys. If they're on a control-y, then not so much. No lands in our lands deck. Wild. Okay, let's mulligan. Exploration, exploration. We've got some stuff here. It doesn't do a lot is the problem. Okay, we will keep this. Our plan is to try and bait out something with our first exploration and then just try and wasteland our opponent. They're probably going to have to get basics. But we might be able to take them off of colours if they have a fetch land and they need a certain colour at a certain time. We obviously have a reasonable selection of bangers we can draw, but we do have to draw them. Well, banger located. Let's go. Let's get an exploration down. Is this where you want to fight? They do want to fight. Okay. Well, joke's on you. I've got another one. And then we can just start Life from the Loam in back Wastelands and having a jolly good time of it. Is this going to get them a basic swamp? It is. Are they going to Thoughtseize us? No, they're going to play Nethergoyf. Sure, I don't care about that one too much. We should be able to do our thing before that matters. Alright, exploration. Let's get this down. We don't have anything that we can fetch using their fetch lands. So Echoing Deeps is kind of annoying. I think I still play it out because I want the mana though. It's a shame we don't have access to another green pip here. We are kind of gated on the amount of green spells we can play in pretty much every game, unless we have the Yavimaya. It's the reason why there's 4 of them, but when you don't have it, it does feel a little bit more awkward. If they have a Wasteland for our Boseiju and they are in fact more tempo-y, then this could be a problem for us. They're showing us days as well, so I am expecting more of a tempo approach from our opponent. Would love just another green source. You see a Brainstorm here, yeah. And another Nethergoyf. Okay. We found another green source. Let's crop rotate away this Boseiju. Obviously a prime Force of Will candidate right now. Sure, let me pitch the stock up. I'll play this. And am I going to crop rotate or loam here? We don't get to do both. Actually, we kind of do, I suppose, right? If we loam back this Boseiju, we've already got the exploration. What are the last cards in your hand? Force of Vigor. Sorry, Force of Negation. Force of Vigor, what we're talking about. Okay, so our opponent is Hellbent. We can go and get a Bojuka Bog and shut our opponent's mana down, shut our opponent's creatures down for a bit. And then hopefully work towards something that matters. Another Nethergoyf. Alright, we're getting our Bojuka Bog is what you're saying. Understood. As a Saga, great pickup. Get out of here, Echoing Deeps. Hello, Bojuka Bog. Goodbye, opponent's graveyard. Then we should be able to ride this as a Saga to victory, although they probably have Wastelands. Right now we're on the Saga train. And then when this fully pops, we can then crop rotate it for another one and just beat our opponent down with constructs. Just classic Urza's Saga gaming, if I can even say the word. Alright, a Ponder, sure. So we could also go and get a Tabernacle, mess with our opponent that way, but I think just if we keep making Urza Saga constructs, our opponent will lose. As is often the case for fair decks. So this is going to give them a little bit of power on their guy. So they got 1/2s. They could like Thoughtseize themselves to pump their guys another one maybe, if they have one of those. I'm not going to block here. I can take a line of bolt to the dome. It's not a lot of damage right now. Let's make a construct. Alright, what do we want to get here? What is the one here? Just another Saga, just start that running? I think so. And then what does this get us? Lavaspur Boots, probably. We're not on the hugest life total right now. Do I want to crack in here or not? I don't think so. I think we can just make our guys. We're currently in a pretty favourable position. If we get the full run of this as a Saga, then we just win. If we had something like a Shadow Spear, then I'd be even more comfortable. Alright, another Ponder. This does not grow the Nethergoyfs because they already have a sorcery. Bloodstone Mire. This will grow the Nethergoyfs into 2/3. But we can kill 2 of them. Red, black. This is going to be Molten Collapse. That's going to be very good here. I'm going to take out our Lavaspur Boots maybe. Meltdown. This is going to be pretty bad news for us. Alright, obviously I wish I got the damage in now because we don't get it. But they had to draw exactly Meltdown. This puts us to 2. So this is not going to be enough on its own. We get to block one guy, we die to this. I think we are on hitting him with the Once Upon a Time. None of these cards really matter. Play this. Making one guy doesn't make a difference here. We're just dead. Ugh. Yeah, they had to draw exactly Meltdown, I think, there. Unfortunate for us. Okay, so now we know what they're doing. Now we know that they are on the tempo build. Does that change how we want to approach this one? Maybe a Dismember comes in. I still like the Pithing Needle. I don't think we need the Cage. It does stop them replaying the Nethergeist, but I don't think we care about that. Just a couple of removal spells is fine. I think this matchup is very good for us. Like, you saw our opponent had a lot of the exact pieces they needed at the exact times, and they still needed one more piece to win the game. Like, they had the Force of Vigor to stop our Loam and things like that. Even though we were kind of getting caught by our own green sources and stuff. As a Saga is a very strong thing to be doing in a matchup like this. Our hand kind of falls to Wasteland a little bit, but that's awkwardly going to be true a lot of the time. I think I'm going to keep this one. I'm not going to play out this Lavaspur Boots straight away. I'm going to hold up the crop rotation in case they do have a Wasteland on our Yavimaya. Like, we've got ways of stopping their aggression. We've got some aggression of our own. I've got a crop rotation so we can do it all over again. I think this is fine. It's just, I like my land's hands to have Exploration and Life from the Loam because I'm greedy. But our deck only has 3 Life from the Loam anyway, so it's a bit short on that feature anyway. Alright, Yavimaya. If they Wasteland us on 1, then we get to crop rotate it. No Wasteland. A Tamiyo. Okay, I think we are going to get rid of this around a daze here. Right, so we're going to Dismember. And we're going to keep this crop rotation up, I think. A Force of Will. Pitching Murktide Region. Okay, that kind of makes me change my mind a little bit. Now I'm going to play this Exploration out and get this Maze of Ith down. Do I need to hold this up for crop rotation? I think I do. Right, so the Tamiyo plan is a key part of what they're trying to accomplish here. They were willing to pitch Giant Monster and Force of Will to save it. So, flips the Tamiyo. Once upon a time, a little bit late for you, I'm afraid. So not playing out the Lavaspur Boots last turn, I think was a mistake. Because we don't have the ability to play a 2-2 construct here. We do still have the Pithing Needle in. That is our solution to dealing with this Tamiyo. They might, knowing that that could be a thing that happened, they might just go and get back a Brainstorm or a Force, or just get some advantage going. Tamiyo plus in. Our Maze of Ith taps for mana because of our Yavimaya, so that's nice. Alright, what's happening here? We're going to see a dress down. Are they going to crack a clue? They're just playing around our Pithing Needle on their island, on their polluted delta. Could be. Alright, let's sacrifice this as a Saga. See if we can get another one. Rotation, pitching, Murktide Region. Sure, so this ended up being a 2-for-1 for us. Our Saga's already doing its thing. So we go and get the Pithing Needle. We name Tamiyo Seasoned Scholar. Seasoned Scholar. And then I will Bojuka Bog. Strip their graveyard out so that they can't play a Murktide or anything. And I will attack the Tamiyo just in case they can get out from underneath this Pithing Needle. Oh, I dislike playing against Tamiyo. It's a horrible feeling. It's just... Okay, we're just going to get got by it at some point. Alright, so we've got Once Upon a Time. That can dig us into something here. What are you looking at? Is he cracking a clue? We get Fatal Push. They are Fatal Pushing our guy. 1 card left in our opponent's hand. So they're going to crack this clue at end step. And it's the top of your deck versus these 2 cards in my hand and the top of my deck. So this game is pretty even. If nothing changes from this perspective, we're obviously winning. But we can't rely on that staying the same. 3 mana. Stock up. Okay. Pretty good. They're unlikely to commit much to the board. I guess they could find land Nethergoyf. Or Necrogoyf, or whichever one it is. I can never remember which one is which. But... Okay. This turn should be alright. Let's cast a Once Upon a Time. I'd rather not keep drawing these, but it is what it is. We'd love to find another Urza Saga. I think the plan for the rest of our mana is play Lavaspur Boots, equip to construct, half the Tamiyo. Just make sure it's gone. Maybe we're right to just pressure our opponent's life total instead. If they ever get rid of this Pithing Needle, they also get back a stock up or a fatal push, and that's a lot for us to overcome. I guess I take the Dark Depths. So this stops our opponent from, even if they remove our Pithing Needle, they don't get anything back with the Tamiyo this turn. Have they found themselves a meltdown with that stock up? Blue and a black, we're seeing a Baleful Strix, a Fatal Push Pain Ward. Okay. But we are threatening a potential Hasty Marit soon, which will just be our opponent, I suspect. I don't think 1 mana is going to do enough here. Okay, so I think we cast the Once Upon a Time first, so we have maximum information before we decide if we're playing the Saga or if we have a better plan. A Thespian stage. Well, well, well. Play this. Play our bonus land. I would like a big hasty monster, please. How'd you like them apples, opponent? I said they have Brazen Borrower in hand. Alright. So we got the 4-1 with Sprouts' Lands deck. Pretty good. As you can see, we did play a lot of Magic. There's a lot of 2-1s and stuff in here. We're splitting some games. The only thing that really buried us was the Blue-Black Reanimator deck, which is a whole thing, I guess. But let's not dwell on that. I was pretty skeptical going in this deck because we don't have the full set of Loams. And I was like, okay, I really feel dependent on Loams. I've sometimes played it in Tombs just for extra copies of Loams. And I'm also worried about having more green cards and having like Malevolent Rumble and stuff without that many green sources. But the deck performed. Like, Sprouts is a very good player. They've been innovating in this space for a while and the deck looks good. I think this is pretty sweet. Personally, the lands builds that I would like to play involve playing the One Ring because that's just another engine card. Whereas this is more of a, okay, it's a combo meta, so we need to try and go fast. So we're trying to get to our Dark Depths combo as quickly as possible. And that's what the Once Upon a Time and Malevolent Rumble are doing together. But then we have a little bit of staying power off of the Loam later on. And obviously, you know, we've got crop rotations as well. Deck felt pretty solid though. 4-1 is a good record. Losing to Blue-Black Reanimator is worrying. This is because I suspect that deck is going to become more and more popular now that people are realizing that the conversion rate of Blue-Black tempo isn't that good. It's currently underperforming in terms of play rate and top 8 finishes. So people go, okay, what does work? And then somebody's just won a challenge with a Blue-Black Reanimator deck, so I suspect people are going to go, oh, maybe this is still the best thing to be doing. And I think that probably is the case for the Blue-Black colours. So I would imagine we're going to see more of that. Now, obviously, it's something we should be pretty good against. We're good against their fair side. We've got a bunch of graveyard hate. It just didn't work out for us this time because we boarded in the graveyard hate. We needed the stuff to beat their fair plan, and we lost. And that is really the strength of the deck, the fact that it's 2 decks, and which is why I think Entomb should have gone instead of the Troll. Nevertheless, this deck overperformed considering what I thought was going to happen. I think the Otawara, where we only have 4 blue sources, might be a little bit of a stretch, and we could just turn this into like another Boseiju or like another green source so we can have more initial green sources, because we did find ourselves getting gated on green mana a fair bit sometimes. Like, we had turns where we couldn't quite play all the spells we wanted to because we only had access to 1 green mana. All in all though, deck feels solid. It's obviously going to have some tricky matchups when we're relying so heavily on lands, but I absolutely adore playing land strategies. I used to be a blue-green lands player back in the day before we had Thespian stage. And I played a fair bit of red-green punishing lands when that just came out as a thing. So yeah, I enjoy playing this deck. I think it's pretty sweet, and you'll probably see some more lands content on the channel at some point soon. Congratulations to Sprouts for winning the challenge. And you lovely people out there, remember to hit that like and subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really does help the channel out. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.